that the outboard started to play up a little bit. Honestly, I was actually really nervous because I don't know what to do in that situation. He thinks he has a solution.
Hey.
So I didn't break it!
Entirely Khiara's. No. Oh, the key, that's what it was.
So that is a bit of good news. That's really good news actually. We'll get to keep our water maker.
It looks pretty.
Welcome to our self-inflicted adventure.
What seems like a lifetime ago, we left Australia intending to sail our way around the world.
It's been a rollercoaster since then, and while the plan has changed many times, we've been laughing our way through and learnt a new lesson for every step of the way.
And between us, the real adventure has only just begun.
So yeah, yesterday Khiara had a bit of a stressful time. So she went ashore. Well, I might tell
I'll
the story.
explain the situation afterwards. So yesterday. Alright, so yesterday I went to shore to go and get some more, we had to get some more dock lines. It was painfully obvious that we were overdue for some after we left the marina. And I also went to get some more running rigging as well because a few of our lines are chafing through. So I went to go and get some upgrades, and it's about a 2-mile journey to shore through reef area and some spots as well of deep water. It takes about 20 minutes or so to drive over there, and I got there absolutely fine. So it was only on the way back after I'd actually topped up on some fuel that the outboard started to play up a little bit. It was kind of like spluttering and it was going really slowly, and it was pretty much straight off the bat as soon as I left the shops. I carried on for a little while and I managed to get to about halfway back home, and I was sticking to the shore just in case if anything happened I might be able to get closer to shore. But I was really, honestly, I was actually really nervous because I don't know what to do in that situation. I don't know how to fix an outboard. I didn't have any of the tools with me to fix it. There was some areas of deep water and breaking waves on the reef. Adam wasn't with me. I didn't have any way to communicate with him. And I'm a bit silly as well. I forgot to put the anchor in the dinghy as well. So definitely blew it out of proportion in my head. But I was so stressed and so worried during that whole journey back that by the time I eventually got back to the boat, after much spluttering, one breakdown, and Adam was waiting for me, not knowing what had gone on, and he copped a right earful because I was just so stressed. I was so worried about not being able to make it back and possibly being lost at sea. The fact that I was so unprepared in that situation really kind of made me think that I need to be a little more prepared in my next journeys. First of all, we need to fix the outboard. That's obviously priority number one. Without the outboard, we can't go anywhere. So Adam is gonna go on and do that. But also, we need to figure out a way to communicate with each other and tell each other when we're coming back, how far away we are, just be able to kind of speak to each other. We only have one SIM card, so when one of us has the phone, we can't communicate with the other person. I also as well realised that I should have taken an anchor with me, so that when I got to shallower waters I could have at least put a hook in and waited there for somebody to pass by or something. But honestly, that whole experience really scared the crap out of me. Adam is now going to try and attempt to fix the outboard. Fingers crossed it works.
The outboard's misfiring and misbehaving, and I guess to fix that, the first thing I'm going to try is the simplest thing, and that's new fuel. It was working fine, and then Khiara got some new fuel, which I'm assured was mixed up well, and I believe it, and then it started misbehaving. So obviously the first thing you got to check is the fuel. So I'm going to get some fuel that we've had for a bit longer and make up a fresh batch and see if it'll behave. And if that's that, then sweet, it's just bad fuel or bad mix. Otherwise I'm going to have to like check the plugs, strip the carby, but let's start with the most simple thing first. So I'm just emptying out the fuel that we had yesterday into our sort of holding tank, overflow tank, and I'll go get some fresh stuff. See how we go.
Fuel is mixed. See if it works. Keys.
Well, the challenge we have is that it did start yesterday without any issues, and when it wasn't in gear it ran fine. So I expect it to kind of start fine now. It's the running
when you load it up, it starts to misbehave.
Let's go test her.
Still alive. So that's a sign of the carby problem. Right, there we go. I want to go towards shore. Still not doing what it's like. It's not good, but it's not as bad. I don't know if that means anything. There we go. So that's no change in the throttle at all. It's just like whoa, 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 whoa. Struggle. Just in time to get back to the boat. But then if I pop it out of gear, it'll rev really well.
What are you saying? Problem still exists?
Yeah, problem's definitely still there.
He thinks he has a solution.
So we put new fuel in, nothing changed. Just begun the process of one of our mates, Brian, on Timmy's run, lent me some carb cleaner to spray the carb. So I've begun that process, and just while I was waiting for the external spray to dry so that you then start it up and spray it down the throat, I was looking over the engine and I saw here all this black oil. It was all over this
Spark plug cap?
spark plug cap. I'm thinking distributor cap, but it doesn't work that way. Anyway, the plug cap just had fresh black rich oil all over it. I was like, that's not right, we've got an oil leak somewhere. So I'm looking around thinking we've got like a cracked head or some disastrous thing. Anyway, I pull it off just to check the spark plug. Look, I haven't undone this. Have a look down here at this spark plug. Look at the movement it's got in it. That is barely finger tight. It's not even finger tight. It's not even all the way done up finger tight. So don't ask me how that's wiggled its way loose, but that's got to be the problem.
So dirty.
And look at that filthy plug. It's not been reaching compression, therefore not burning or firing properly, therefore leaving residue, which eventually over time causes it to really carry on and fouls up the plugs, and this is where we end up. So yes, I would say
So I didn't break it!
entirely Khiara's fault.
It's not my fault!
Clearly you've been messing with spark
My
plugs.
oil mix is fine! Sorry, what were you saying?
Clearly you've been messing with spark plugs while I've been away.
Uh-huh.
Well, now it's idling, so it's actually idling really high, whereas before, and we haven't changed any settings on the carby. And it did used to idle a bit high, I knew about that, but as you probably saw a second ago, it wouldn't hold an idle, which suggests that we have made a change for the better. So I think that perhaps the spark plugs were the problem. Much better. Whoop. Spoke too soon. No. Oh, the key, that's what it was.
Oh my
The key fell
god.
out.
Oh my god.
It's this stupid bit of wire, it catches on everything. Well, that's another problem solved. Sort of, for now. And all before breakfast. It's a new day. We're rolling around a little bit in Montrouge, having just pulled out of the marina. Khiara is hard at work on tomorrow's episode, just finishing it up. I promise we didn't just start it today. And I thought I would take the opportunity to get stuck into my long-awaited Serpentine belt kit. So I don't think I've actually whinged about this. Whinge is probably a strong word. I don't think I've spoken about this. Where we took the alternator to get serviced it was earthing. So this alternator has an independent earth, an independent ground that then's connected to the system's ground. So the body itself does not act as a grounding, but I imagine due to belt dust it was grounding, and so we cleaned it and checked it again and it was fine. But literally since the moment we bought the boat, since our first ever attempt to motor anywhere, we've been grappling with shredding belts. And I've searched high and low for solutions. We've moved it forwards, we've moved it backwards, we've put a tensioner on it, we've changed out to Napa belts and green stripe belts, which helped slightly. I've put it in small engine mode, which if those of you who are playing at home want to know how to do that, you just bridge, I believe it's your temperature sensor circuit and put a switch between them. If you close the switch, you have bridged that circuit and thereby switch the charge controller into small engine mode, which reduces the load on the alternator. That didn't really work. It helped, but the belt dust is just absurd, to the point where the alternator is now throttling back because of temperature and shredding the belt, which ultimately loosens, and the alternator just straight up stops putting out charge. So after about 5 hours of motoring, I have to tighten the belt, and then that happens again and again and again until I can't tighten the belt anymore. And then the alternator stops putting out charge, and it's just a nightmare. So to do the installation, it's actually a lot easier than I thought it was, touch wood. On paper, it's a lot easier than I thought it would be. So you pretty much have these sleeves that they send you. So you've got one for your water pump, one for your crankshaft, and one for the alternator. So let's get stuck into it.
Five minutes in and he's derailing my day. No, I actually volunteered. I was like, "Ooh, what you doing over there? What's going on there?" And it just happened to be that I suggested that I help.
Any excuse to get in the engine bay, hey babe? So that is a bit of good news. That's really good news actually. We kind of agreed that we would lose the water maker, or be happy enough to lose the water maker in lieu of, in order to solve the belt dust issue. So we've just taken the nuts, bolts rather, out of the crankshaft pulley, and this is the first half of it. So you have two pulleys back to back. One goes up to the water maker, one is for your main V belt. And this is the one that is for the water maker, which is just an add-on. And then this is the Serpentine belt pulley, which is a sleeve that essentially slots over the crankshaft pulley. And then they give you some fancy new bolts to just screw it down, really, and that's all there is to it. That's that done. What I was hoping, and it has turned out to be the case, is that these two would marry up together so that I could still use the water maker, and they do quite well. We'll get to keep our water maker, so that's good news. But we're not going to do that now. For now, we're just going to get the Serpentine belt on and working, and then when I decide it's time to reinstall the engine, the water maker, slot that where it needs to go, fasten it down. That's it. We're done. Right, well that's the what I thought would be the worst of them done, which is actually kind of cool. Really smooth so far. The next stage is to remove the old water pump pulley. Just four nuts in the top, slide it off the shaft, and replace it with the old one. So the last piece of the puzzle is the alternator pulley, and to do that I have to pull the alternator out. So all the power is off now so that I don't electrocute myself. And yeah, we'll talk again when I get it out. Right, here is the alternator. Came out pretty smooth, no dramas there. Now I've got to figure out how to get the pulley off and get the new pulley on. Must have got it and not known we got it on that last. So
oh my god.
We didn't record any of this because we've both been fuming, but we don't have the socket or the impact wrench that we needed to do this. And this spanner sort of doesn't really get enough clearance, and we've been fighting with it for an hour. And we just gave up. Khiara was like, I'm gonna go downstairs and start editing again and we'll just think about it. And I was like, just put that there and put that there, and just went, boop, and it just went, just like that. So the last attempt, we must have got it and not realized we got it.
I was getting pretty nervous there because the seas are just kicking up a little bit, and you can see this like
huge thunderstorm out here.
Big thunderstorm starting up. And there's this boat behind us who has his stern anchor out, so we're not all swinging the same way here. Starting to get really nervous, like, should we just put everything back on again? He's like, no, we've come so far. It's very nerve-wracking.
But now we should hurry up and get this finished so we aren't dead in the water anymore. It's pretty good. As you can see, we gave it a bit of a shake out and a clean. This is just what was inside of the fan and stuff. There's a hell of a lot of dust on the outside and in the engine bay and all over the engine. Hold there. So far so good. So that looks good. Let that run for a little while and see how she goes. It looks pretty. So that marks a booby trap. So that marks the end of about an hour and a half, 2-hour test, and everything went well. The alternator ran us up to bulk. We hit 14.2 volts as we were supposed to. Very happy with that. Hopefully that's the last of our alternator belt dust shenanigans.